Okay, so in this part of the course, I'm going to briefly discuss some different ways that you can think about transferring or getting an image down to paper so that if you're not confident enough in your drawing skills and you want to use reference or literally trace off that reference, this will get the drawing on the paper so that you could get started using some of these fun, expressive, mixed media techniques. So let's start off with the concept of you've printed something out. Let's say you've taken our support files and you have it printed. Now with our fish project, we simply use a vellum and we just draw over it. So you can't get any easier than just coming over an object, and in the video I draw it freehand, but if you're not confident with that, coming in and actually drawing it. But notice when I typically do a transfer for this kind of work, I don't sit there and methodically trace it because we're doing a very open drawing. I just kind of hint at very quickly a few of the elements that I'd like to pick up. And you'll notice that I don't finish everything out, that I'm just giving myself sort of an idea of where everything is. So my first tip is not to slow down and to trace every single image. So let's say that we aren't using vellum for this project or one of our other projects, and we simply want to get this fish down to a piece of drawing paper. What do we do in that case? Well, there's a couple of different things that we can do. One of them is we can simply take the image and flip it over, and I can merely take a 3B or a 4B or a 6B. Any of these softer B graphite pencils works great, and I come in and all I need to do is anywhere that I see this image, I just press down and I get some graphite down on the paper. Again, we're using a softer pencil. That will help do it, quicker. It'll help get the drawing down a little bit nicer. And I do sort of like to come in and sort of go the opposite direction very quickly. And then I'll usually even take a stump and just sort of blend it real quickly. I'll decide where I want my composition to be on my drawing paper, and I'll typically take a little bit of painter's tape or blue tape. This won't rip your drawing paper, and just very lightly sort of tape it off. That way the drawing doesn't move around on us. It stays put. So I'll come back in with a pencil and I'll switch from a softer pencil, that's what we laid the graphite down with for the transfer, and I'll switch to a harder pencil like an HB or an H. It's just better to have a harder pencil to press down. Now, you don't want to press too hard because you'll indent the paper, but same thing. I'm not going to trace out every single little line here within this fin. I want to just get the essence of that fin. I want to get an essence of this eye. I might hint at a little bit of it, but I can't stress enough how it's going to help you, right, particularly with the expressive way that we're working, to just merely hint at and capture some of the larger details that you want or the larger action. So this should be a very rapid process. And we don't need every single line once again. Now I can see this line drawing over this print quite well. So I know where I have drawn over and haven't drawn over. if the drawing is dark, sometimes it can be difficult to see where you have and have not drawn. In that case, there's nothing wrong with a ballpoint pen, just a regular one. This will help you see a little bit better where have I laid down that transfer line, right, and where have I not, and kind of show you where you may or may not need to go back into. So I think that's enough right there. So let's pull this sheet of paper off and see what we have. And there we go. We have a nice image. It's ready to go. It isn't overdrawn, over-rendered. That gives us an idea. Now the cool thing about doing something like this, if I wanted multiple fish, all I would need to do is to sort of move this in my composition, and why don't we start putting one right here. So again, I'll tape it down. And I'll kind of lift up and see where that other fish is. It's right in here. So I can just come in, same thing, very rapidly hint at some of the bigger or larger details, or just the overall shape that I'm going to need, right, to get this project started. Again, I can lift this up and sort of see where the other one's at. All right. This will come out and we'll have another fish right here adjacent to our original one. And there we go. So all of a sudden we have two, right, within a composition. And that's just a nice way to think about or work with these types of images or reference or support files that we're going to give you. So let me show you a few more things as well. This is a great way to do it. So another thing you can do is use a piece of vellum or tracing paper or onion paper. In this case, I have a thin sheet of tracing paper. And it's very similar to the original fish that we just did, is I will lay down a large mass of graphite. So in a lot of ways, this is the same sort of thing, but what we're going to do is create just an entire piece of transfer paper or graphite transfer paper on our own. You can buy these sometimes in the store. I find that it is just as easy or easier to make your own. And what you can do is just lay this off at the side of your drawing table or your drawing area or wherever you draw, or you can fold it up and even put it in a drawing notebook and just sort of keep it with you. So if you see an image that you'd like to transfer quickly, you can do so. So again, once I do it one direction, I like to come in and typically do it in the other. And the reason I'm using this tracing paper instead of regular paper is it has a smooth surface, and I'm able to use a lot less graphite to cover the entire paper, and it covers much, much, much quicker than a regular piece of paper. And then all I need to do is to come in with a stump, and do you see how easily movable that is? So we're going to generate a very nice piece of transfer paper on our own that we can use throughout this entire project or others. And in fact, you can use this for quite a long time. And when the graphite starts to diminish on it, all I need to do is go back in and touch up those areas and then just re-smudge. So over time it will diminish, but this will be good for a long time. All right. So I'll lay that down on a piece of paper. So we lay that down. We lay the graphite face down to the paper. So here's another image or a support file. This is for the last project in the course. So a similar thing, I will just to hold it down, I will tape it on each corner. That way it doesn't move. And again, I'm just using a very light adhesive sticky paper, or tape, excuse me. All right, so and again, compositionally, where is this going to be? And I can come over and switch to a harder pencil. And the same thing, I'm not going to trace every little element off. I don't need that. I'm just going to hint, and I can even come out and alter. You know, I've pushed that hair out to here. So you can very quickly alter things. And I'll even push that hair out to here as I come around. I'm going to move her shoulder into here, kind of bring her neck in. I can bring her neck in right here. So you can adjust very quickly the drawing. So leave it open and leave it loose. You don't need to spend a whole lot of time with this part of it. Just get the areas in that you feel like you need. You know, I encourage you to try to freehand it. That, you know, explores your drawing capability. But a lot of people just, you know, aren't there drawing-wise, so they need techniques like this to help them get the drawing down so they can explore and have fun with all the mixed media and those expressive techniques that we're talking about in this class or in this course. And I'll hint at that being shadow a little bit, and I'll hint at a little bit of shading here. But I think that that's probably good enough. You know, I can always lift up at a corner and kind of check. I kind of forgot the chin, so I'll hint at that. And a little more right here. And there we go, instantly. And I can just take this support file or your printout or any sort of photo, or you know, if you print out the artwork that I did, and I have this piece of graphite, and it's perfectly good. I can see a little bit where it pulled off the graphite a little bit. I can just touch that up, or I can just come in and blend it, reblend it. So I can just set this graphite over to the side and continually use it to help me get the essence of a drawing down, to again start using those expressive techniques.